give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. 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 Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola.
Breakfast with Elli.
Three wins this week. 3 wins this week.
נשמתי בחמלה
גבורה באמונתך.
The ceremony to end Shabbat.
Havdalah is a short ceremony conducted Saturday night after Shabbat, the Jewish day of rest ends, marking the end of Shabbat and the beginning of the new week. The word Havdalah means to differentiate or to distinguish, and the purpose of Havdalah is to make a distinction between the Shabbat you just experienced and the week you're about to enter. The Havdalah ceremony includes a cup of wine, spices, and a special multi-wicked candle. It's an opportunity to internalize the joy of having experienced Shabbat and to focus on bringing some of that spiritual energy into the week ahead.
Shavua Tov. Have an amazing week.
לא היה מבדיל בין קודש לחול.
You've heard and sung this song everywhere this past year, at parties, at rallies, at weddings, even in moments of grief. But most of you don't actually know where it came from. So let's dive into this week's Music Monday. In the song Tamid Ohev Oti, the words say, "And Hashem the Almighty always loves me, and I'll always have nothing but good, and I'll have it even better." These words weren't written by a pop star. They come from a small booklet written by Rabbi Shalom Arush, a Breslov rabbi built around one radical idea. No matter who you are, how strong your faith is, or how broken you feel, God never leaves you. The song was written by rapper Elli, who happened to be a student of Rabbi Arush. He never really planned to release it. It wasn't his style, but his rabbi asked him to publish it, and so he did, with no idea of what would happen next. At the same time, Israel and Jews around the world were going through one of the hardest periods we've known, and this song arrived exactly when it was needed, as comfort. Multiple artists recorded it almost simultaneously, but it was 23-year-old singer from Haifa, Sason Ephraim Shaulov, whose version turned into a national anthem. Musicologists say it worked not just because it's catchy, but because it answered a question so many of us were asking. How do you hold on after everything we've been through? This song doesn't deny the suffering. It sits inside it and still insists on hope. That's why everyone sings it. Religious, secular, young, old. Because in these times, faith itself became the music.
והשם יתברך תמיד אוהב אותי ותמיד יהיה לי רק טוב. השם יתברך תמיד אוהב אותי ותמיד יהיה לי ויהיה לי עוד יותר טוב ועוד 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 יותר טוב ותמיד יהיה לי רק ויהיה לי
And now you know the rest of the story. Good morning, good vach. Welcome to Breakfast with Ellie, Season 8, episode... Oh, that's the wrong episode number. What episode number is it? 99, I think. Yeah, 98, 99. Yes, episode number 99. I should correct that. All right, it is Sunday, the 21st day of Shevat, the 8th day of February. The Torah portion is Mishpatim, Ve'ela hamishpatim, these are the laws. HaYom Yom Rishon Shabbos, the first day counting up towards Shabbos, and we'll be learning the first Aliyah. Good morning, how are you? So what did we say today is? Episode 99. That makes tomorrow 100. I'll fix that. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Good morning, good vach, Shavua Tov, a good week. How are you? How was your Shabbat? Everybody here have a great Shabbat? I hope so. I certainly hope so. All right, fantastic. Let's get started. Men and boys, take you to front tzitzis. Let's make a bracha. Everyone else join us in the second bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhma uvaravo nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim galui v'yadua lifnei chisei Chevodecha she'im yisatem echad mehem o im yipateach echad mehem אי אפשר להתקיים אפילו שעה אחת. ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה. הריני מקבל עלי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, giving tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, and now we are going to say the Shema. So take your right hand and place it over your eyes.
ישראל, השם אלוקינו השם אחד. שמע ישראל, השם אלוקינו השם אחד. אלוקינו השם אחד שמע ישראל השם אלוקינו השם אחד מה זה גוף ונשמה בשביל מה רוצה להיות קרוב אליך שנה ועוד שנה בשביל מה ומי אני כאן בלעדיך
ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
All right, and that takes us to breakfast. And today we have coffee and yogurt. Making a bracha shahakol. Are you ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvarai.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
What is that? Dulce de leche. Very good stuff. Today in Jewish history. All right, let me just double check to see if I have anything else, which I very well might, because I did not check my yard site gizmo over here. Let's see. No, they didn't post today. Okay, no problem. Yes. I know. Lots of stuff to talk about. All right, the first Jew was granted residence in England on this day in 1657. February 4th, 1657, Oliver Cromwell, Lord Protector of England, issued the first residence permit to Louis Carvajal, a Jew from, I'm sorry, it doesn't say. But it was the first permit since the expulsion of all Jews from England by King Edward I in the year 1290, took to 1657. The Edict of Expulsion was overturned the previous year in 1656. The readmittance of Jews into England was partially due to the efforts of the great scholar Rabbi Menashe ben Yisrael. It is the yahrzeit of Rabbi Moshe Galant. He passed away in 1689, born in Tzfas in 1620, later moved to Jerusalem, where he founded a large yeshiva. He was a grandson of the famed Rabbi Moshe Galant I, who was a student of Rabbi Yosef Karo. Rabbi Galant was the first rabbi endowed with the title Rishon LeZion, the head of Zion. a title traditionally conferred upon the chief Sephardic rabbi of Jerusalem and later the chief rabbi of the land of Israel. This is due to the profound love and esteem he was given by the Sephardic community in Jerusalem. He authored a number of works, including Elif Hamagen, which includes 1,000 responsa on various topics, Parparos Lechochma, a commentary on the Torah, and Zevach Hashlamim on the Gemara, the Talmud. Counted among his students was Rabbi Chizkiah de Silva, rabbi of Hebron, and author of the Pri Chadash, printed in the standard edition of the Code of Jewish Law. Fascinating stuff. We're going to talk about tomorrow is the yahrzeit. Tonight, actually, is the yahrzeit of the Rebbe's wife, the beloved Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka Schneerson. And in her honor of Chafei Shvat, there is a Kinus Hashluchos, the Women's International Convention of Emissaries, in Crown Heights, New York City. The Rebbetzin was the wife of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and she passed away on the 22nd day of Shvat in the year 1988, 5748. We'll be talking about the Rebbetzin tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned for that because there's lots to talk about the Rebbetzin. Amazing, amazing, amazing woman. All right, HaYom for today.
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו.
HaYom thoughts for the day, 21st of Shvat. Nothing gets people as fired up as discussing the role of women in Jewish life. Well, maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it. Women don't have a role, they are the center. The future of the Jewish people's very existence is entrusted to them. Sure, men are good for davening and carrying tables upstairs. It is women who ensure that there is a Jewish future. You're not a role player, you're the star.
The heated debate on the role of women in contemporary Hasidic culture is ongoing. Are devout Jews to treat their women much the way they were treated 100 years ago in the shtetl? Or are we to catch up to the rest of the Western world? The Rebbe's approach to this issue is unique. The idea that women can be empowered as trend-setting community leaders who wield tremendous positive influence on large groups of people was quickly adopted by the Rebbe. The idea that a woman's only ticket to prominence is by mimicking and doing everything traditionally done by the man is rejected as nonsense. Says today's HaYom, it is the duty of Hasidic women to stand in the first rank of every activity dedicated to strengthening religion and Judaism. This is particularly true in regards to family purity. These women are to organize a society which is to reinforce all Hasidic practices and provide direction, guidance, and education in the age-old spirit of Hasidic homes. If Chabad's raison d'etre is to keep Jewish people Jewish, then it's not enough for Jewish women to just be team players. They have to be team leaders.
Yep, you got it. Not so simple, right? Not so simple. All right, a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to learn some Torah. And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
Tarzane Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565. And order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
All right, if you would like to do a double mitzvah, give tzedakah, and help people learn Torah, getting credit for both, all you need to do is scan the QR code you see on the screen. It'll take you to breakfastwithelli.live/support. breakfastwithelli.live/support, and you can donate today. Torah time.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, here we go. It is Sunday. So on Sundays, as you know, we do the name of the Parsha. Mishpatim means civil and criminal laws which are self-understood. As Rashi comments, Mishpatim are laws recorded in the Torah that if they had not been given, it would have been appropriate to institute them in any case. Furthermore, these laws are self-evident not only to Jews, but also to the nations of the world. So much so that it's feasible that a secular law is identical to a Jewish law. For this reason, it's stated at the beginning of this parsha, Ve'ela mishpatim, these are the laws, to which Rashi comments, these are also from Sinai, meaning that even these laws, which are rationally dictated by the human mind, must be observed not because of their intellectual credibility, but because they are Hashem's commands. It's only that Hashem wanted these commands to be understood by man. For this reason, these laws are placed lifneichem, before them, and not before the nations, even when their decision would coincide, according to Rashi. Since these laws are based on human reason, and since these laws are based on human reason, and it's necessary to observe our precepts as divine decrees. Fascinating, right? At a deeper level, it could be argued that the concept of mishpatim from Sinai implies that the very essence of rationality itself was implanted at Sinai. If it were not for the criminal and civil laws being given at Sinai, human intelligence would not have been able to fathom them like the other supernatural commandments. There are mishpatim, chukim, and edus. The three different types of laws. We'll talk about that. The rationale or the rational nature of these laws, is a result of Ratzon Hashem, Hashem's will, which is intrinsically unfathomable. And it's being invested in his Torah. Since the Torah is the record and register of what was used to create the world, these laws became compatible with the fabric of the world and commensurate with human understanding. Consequently, the human mind, all humans, naturally tend towards the wisdom of God, which is precisely what was communicated at Sinai. So there you have it. Although we understand these laws to be civil laws and that everybody on the planet would have observed these laws, they still came from Hashem at Sinai, and we understand them as such. In this week's Torah portion, we are going to talk about the laws related to slaves, personal injury, loans, usury, and property damage. And the end of the portion speaks of the preparations the Israelites made before receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai. It's interesting. It goes back and forth, this parsha. In the first Aliyah, the section discusses laws pertaining to the Eved Yisro, this Israelite servant, his mandatory release after 6 years of service, and the procedure followed when a servant expresses his desire to remain in his master's service. Torah continues with the laws of the Israelite maidservant, her terms of release. Other laws in this section: a husband's obligation towards his wife, punishment for murder, manslaughter, kidnapping, and abusing parents, and the penalties accrued by a person who injures another. There we go. Let's see how this plays out in Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson, who's going to explain it to us in much more detail. The laws of damages. I don't know where he is. Where did he go? There we go.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
Story time is over, guys. We now enter a very different part of the Chumash, and this parsha specifically is full of law. It's actually, the name of the parsha is Laws, Mishpatim. And to go through every single detail of every single law will take us a long time. The amount of Talmud that is just written on this parsha alone is mind-boggling. So we're going to try to keep it concise, but still thorough. So while Moshe was still on the mountain, Hashem gave him the general outline of all the Torah commandments. In this context, he repeated the legal code that he gave the people previously, before the giving of the Torah. As we said, just when the people left Egypt in a place called Marah, they received some of the mitzvot, and Moshe had reviewed with them before giving the Torah. So Hashem says like this: these are some of the laws that you're going to set before the Israelites when you go off the mountain. If any of you buy a Hebrew slave from the court, and there's two ways a Hebrew could become a slave: either by selling themselves into slavery for financial reasons, or they steal and they cannot pay it back. So they pay back their theft through working for that person. So they serve the master for 6 years, and on the 7th year they go free without further obligation to make any payment, regardless of how big their debt was. He will also go free in the Jubilee year, which is every 50 years. If, let's say, the guy was arrested or sold into slavery at year 47 of the Jubilee, then if the Jubilee comes, he'll go free as well. Now, if the master wishes, he may give the bondsman a non-Jewish bondswoman by whom to father non-Jewish children, who will then be servants. But this applies only if the bondsman is already married to a Jewish woman. If he comes to his master single, he may not give him a non-Jewish bondswoman, and he must still leave single because he has not had Jewish children yet. On the other hand, if he has a wife, then he may, the master is allowed to give him a second wife. When he leaves the master's service, his wife will leave his master's care with him. In other words, the master will no longer have to provide for her, he'll have to take responsibility. If the bondsman has a Jewish wife and his master gives him a non-Jewish bondswoman for a wife, and she bears him sons and daughters, The non-Jewish wife and her children belong to the master, and when he leaves the master's service, he must leave alone, without them, return to his Jewish wife and family. So sorry, when we said earlier that his wife will leave the masters with him, it's talking about if he had a Jewish wife, she leaves with him. But if the bondsman says, you know what, twice, he says, I'm fond of my master, my non-Jewish wife, my non-Jewish children, I don't want to go free, then his master must bring him to the court that sold him, and they must take him to the door, an upright standing door like a doorpost. His master must then pierce his right earlobe straight into the door with an awl, and the bondsman must serve him until the next Jubilee year, when he will go free whether he wants to or not. Why does he go through this? Because the ear that heard by Sinai that don't steal, and the ear that heard on Sinai that you are my servants, nobody else's, how could you sell yourself into slavery or steal? You should have never put yourself in this situation. If a man is too poor to marry off his daughter, again, this is all biblical times, this is no longer applicable, he may sell her for a period of service to a wealthier family with the intention that she eventually marries a member of the family, either the father or, if it's not appropriate, the son. In such a case, the money paid to the girl's father will retroactively become her betrothal money. If a man sells his daughter in this way, he can only do it if she's still a minor. She must serve the master either for 6 years or until the Jubilee year. She may not leave his service unless, if the master causes damage, he must obviously give her full restitution, and he may not abuse her. If he doesn't want to marry her, and he doesn't want to give it to her son, he may not give it to anybody else. He betrayed her, so that he has to return it to the father, and the father may not sell it again to another master, for he already betrayed her once by selling her to someone who didn't eventually marry her, and she should not be able to go through the ordeal again. However, if the master wants to have her as a wife or a son, the son may also consider the money paid to the girl's father as her betrothal money, and the son, as the father, must accord her the standard rights of girls who marry, which is food, clothing, and conjugal, basically sexual rights. If he marries an additional wife, which in those days was permitted, he may not reduce the first one's clothing or sexual rights. If the master takes none of these courses of action for her, he doesn't marry to herself, to her son, or let her be redeemed, she must go free and without owing him any additional payment. Next, an adult who strikes a man, woman, or child so that the latter dies must be put to death. If, however, he did not lie in wait or intend to kill, but it happened by mistake, car accident, etc., then there's a place to run, which is a city of refuge. The law that a murderer must be put to death applies only if such a person acts intentionally against his fellow Jew to kill him. And if someone is liable for the death penalty, you must administer it, even if he's a Kohen, etc. You must take him even from the altar that he was serving God to die. Someone who strikes his father and mother and inflicts a wound on them, even if he doesn't kill them, must be put to death. This rule applies only while the parent is alive. Striking one's parent's corpse is not a capital offense. A person who inflicts a wound on anybody else is only liable for damages. Kidnapping. As you've been taught, kidnapping is forbidden, the Ten Commandments. Someone who kidnaps a man or a woman, enslaves them, and sells them must be put to death by strangulation, obviously if there were witnesses. An adult who curses his father and mother must be put to death, even if he curses them after death. You can see how serious the treatment of parents is. Whenever one person injures another, there are 5 forms of compensation that the assailant can be held accountable. Depreciation, because basically you made the person less valuable. Pain, incapacitated. Medical fees, and embarrassment. Where 2 men are quarreling and one man strikes the other with a stone or with his fist and he does not die and becomes unable to work, if he then gets up and walks outside himself as he did before, the one who struck him must be acquitted. If, however, in the meantime, however, you must arrest this assailant and wait to see if the victim recovers. Nevertheless, he still must pay for his loss on work and pay for his complete recovery and pay his medical bills, etc. We will discuss all various forms of compensation. Just for the sake of brevity, I will not go into the ethical questions of all these mitzvot, because I'm sure for a modern mind, a lot of these commandments will, not tickle us fancy. There's a lot of explanation, there's a lot of context, but for the sake of brevity, let's just keep the literal translation, and feel free to reach out for any questions, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability.
All right. Parsha Points with Rabbi Epstein is next.
Parsha Points Mishpatim for Sunday. No deposit, no return. Not feeling inspired, got the doldrums. If you think all you do is give and you ain't getting much in return, then maybe, just maybe, it's you. Maybe you're giving the wrong thing. The Parsha tells us, in Bagapo Yovoi, Bagapo Yetze. It means that when the servant starts his term, if he is alone, he leaves alone. The message being, if all I invest is my body, I just go through the motions and don't expect much in return. Want a meaningful experience? I have to invest my entire self.
Parshas Mishpatim begins with the Ve'ela HaMishpatim, and these are the laws. Fascinating acronym taught to us by the Baal HaTurim and Otrikun is that the word HaMishpatim, the laws, stands for Hadayan, the judge, Mitzuvah is commanded, Sheya'aseh Peshavra, that he should perform compromise, Terem Ya'aseh Mishpat, before performing justice. That means that if two litigants come to court, and they're arguing the case, before the Dayan, before the judge tells them what is the law, he's obligated to work with them that they should perform a compromise with one another. That means not do specifically what the law would dictate, but instead compromise with each other before trying to actually employ justice for them. And the question is, why? If the Torah gives us laws and the Torah tells us what to do, isn't the highest ideal to perform the mishpat, the judgment that the Torah teaches? From here, I think we see a fascinating insight that the Torah prefers that Jews learn to work with one another, to care for one another, to do what's good for the other, not only for themselves, so that Jews build relationships of trust and of synergy, where they can work things out together above observing the strict letter of the civil law with each other. It's an amazing lesson that the Torah is having us understand, that a beginning point, the first word of HaMishpatim, is teaching us that as much as it's true that there are specific Torah laws and legalities that determine monetary rights, we prefer that Jews compromise with each other and work together so that they can build with each other and synergize within one another, and this way have a healthy and vibrant, harmonious Jewish Torah society.
Thank you, Yitzi Swag. Parsha in, no, sorry. What time is it? Let's do our Parsha song for the day.
All the laws, the mishpatim that Moshe Rabbeinu brought to us from Har Sinai to Yisro he taught. Na'aseh v'nishma was our cry. We will do and we will hear without asking why. Na'aseh v'nishma was our cry. We will do and we will hear without asking why. When dealing with our friends, being clear in work or play, these laws taught by Moshe are with us today. V'divar sheker never tell a lie. To keep away from sheker, we must always try. Na'aseh v'nishma was our cry. We will do and we will hear without asking why.
All right. And our 2-minute rabbi.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
There's a clever truism that a good host makes their guest feel at home, and a good guest remembers that he's not. Our mission is to make Hashem feel at home in his own home, in creation. Gullus, or exile, is when God feels unwelcomed, and the only thing worse than being an unwelcomed guest is to feel unwelcomed in your own home, in your own creation. It would be like an astronaut getting into the space capsule and randomly playing with all the different switches. Woo! I wonder what this does. Hey, this isn't yours. We've spent billions of dollars and we trained you to do the mission, not to do what you want. It's not yours. The Mishpatim, the laws detailed in this week's Torah reading, deal with the ordinary. They deal with the interpersonal. They deal with contracts. They deal with business. They deal with matters one could easily mistakenly think are his. We can clearly see that when it comes to the laws of kosher or prayer or tefillin, that's God's realm, and therefore God tells us what to do. When it comes to the laws of contracts and employment, we could be tempted to think that this is our area, and this is where we get to do what we think is right. The Mishpatim are Hashem telling us what He wants in His world. When we fulfill the Mishpatim, we do them not simply because they make good sense. We do them because that's how we make Hashem feel at home in His world. Otherwise, we're telling God that there's some place He doesn't belong. If we tell God He has nothing to say about contracts, we're telling God He doesn't belong in His own home. So we fulfill the Mishpatim to make God feel at home in His home.
Beautiful, beautiful thoughts. All right. And that's going to take us to Reb Zusha Zilberstein.
As I speak to you, there are about 4,500 Oneinhore Shluchos gathered in 770 in the Rebbe's headquarters. I give a certain perspective. But I do so, and I'll ask you to stay with me till after we say thank you to Hashem for all the miracles. And in this case, particularly for the miracle of these special women. Mizmor l'soida, horiyu l'Adonai kol haaretz idu es Adonai b'simcha, boi lefanav b'nana. Du'u k'Adonai Elohim, hu asanu v'lo enachnu am b'tzoi marisai. Boi yishoru b'soida chatzroise b'sila, hoida lo b'cha shemoi ki toi v'Adonai le'olam chazdoi v'yad doir v'doir emunasai. Please, as you see, I'm still not in my usual recording place. I don't have a pushka here. Please, take a few coins, put it in the pushka, have me in mind, and more than anything else, have all these shluchos in mind. So let me put it into perspective, the way I see it. We live the most unusual of times. We live the moment that God has been waiting for since He created the world. Because of this first day of creation, the first moment of creation, it says that God already placed the soul of Mashiach, v'ruach Elokim rachefes al pnei hamayim, and the spirit of Mashiach, the godly spirit is hovering over the water, and our commentator said this refers to the ruach of Mashiach. 5,786 years ago, when God created the world, He already looked at what? At today. Because we are living these moments. Now, who makes it happen? So let's go back in history. When we became a people in Egypt, the Talmud tells us, "B'schus nashim tzidkoniyos nigalu aveiseinu mimitzrayim." In the merit of the pious women, we were freed of Egypt. What did they do so special? Why do the women deserve the whole credit for us being released from Egypt? Didn't the man have some credit too? Yeah, that's what it says. And the reason is as follows. What they did was, their faith in the words of Moshe Rabbeinu when he came to say, God sent me to take you out of Egypt. Their faith was unquestioning. Their faith was unwavering. Their faith was also practical. So we got to go out, so we need some proper clothing. We need to come to Matan Torah. We need to be presentable. So on the advice of Moshe Rabbeinu, they went and they borrowed clothing and the jewelry. Tachlis, as we say. It wasn't an idea. It wasn't just a hope. It was reality. So this faith, says the Talmud, is what took us out of Egypt. But it's more so. It's 210 years prior to that moment. It is they who kept the Jewish people alive. Notwithstanding the imminent danger of losing their children, notwithstanding the decree of Pharaoh that the old male babies who have to be killed, drowned in the water, they didn't stop of having children. They sacrificed their lives.
3 wins this week, and the Torah explains all of them.
And they made sure the Jewish community should perpetuate. Man, we're not ready for it. It was only through the insight and through the commitment and through the devotion and the intelligence of the women how it happened. And our sages tell us, the similar events and the similar process that happened in Egypt will happen at the last moment of exile. Today we see the same thing. The shluchos, the wives of those shluchim, are equal partners in everything that the shluchim do. But you know what? As the communists say, all are equal, but some are slightly more equal. They're more than equal partners. Because in addition to be out there, plan programs, give classes, and so on and so forth, they also have a family to look after. Family to grow, to have a family, and to look after the family. This takes woman's courage. This takes a woman's faith. This takes a woman's commitment. This takes a woman's intelligence. So thank God for those shluchos. And thank God that in merit of these shluchos, we will all have the geula now.
That is awesome. All right. Fantastic. And that is going to take us to the saying of Tehillim. All right. Hold on one second. Here we go.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי ילך בגיא צלמובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
Kim Allah is leda, velole yadai, no shai.
Tanya.
All right. Tanya for today. Here we go.
Tanya thoughts for the 21st of Shvat. When we are sad, we can be sure that someone will come up to us and say, "Don't be sad." And then, boom, just like that, we're not sad. If only. So how do we fend off sadness? Do we just rub some dirt in it and go out there and get them? When I'm in the dentist's chair, I'm not mad at him for drilling my teeth because I know that he's helping me, though it sure doesn't feel like it. When I focus on Hashem as the source, even when life doesn't go according to my plan, I know it is according to his plan, and Hashem knows what he is doing, even though I don't.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 21st of Shvat. We continue in chapter 26. Chapter 26 in one word is atzvus, mi atzvus, sadness. When a curveball is thrown our way and we have challenges in our lives, are we able to be joyful? And through joy, then be able to access our minds, to use our minds in order to access our hearts and to have a love and awe of God. So this is what the Alter Rebbe is now dealing with. We can lose our footing, and therefore in the wrestling match, in the battle in life that ensues with our negative side, with our animal soul, we may need to bring joy in order that we can win the battle. So the Alter Rebbe explains that sound counsel and how to cleanse one's heart of sadness and any trace of worry. And when it comes to mundane matters, in other words, about our children, about our health and our sustenance, livelihood, those are mundane matters in the sense that they're about about things that are important to us, as opposed to a mitzvah, which is a heavenly matter, and our relationship with God. So the Alter Rebbe says that everyone is familiar with the statement of the sages in the Talmud that says that just as one is to recite a blessing for good, one must also recite a blessing for misfortune. It's not the same blessing, but a blessing nonetheless. In other words, we have to thank God for that misfortune that comes our way, and recognizing that it does come our way from God. The Talmud explains that one should accept misfortune with joy, like the joy that we accept something that's visible and obviously a benefit. So when we have something good that comes to us and we accept that with joy, likewise the misfortune we should also accept with joy, even though to the mortal eye it is something that isn't good. Why then should we accept it with joy? So the Alter Rebbe explains, because it stems from the hidden world, which that hidden world is a higher world and closer, shall we say, in the spiritual realms to God as a result. And the Alter Rebbe explains his name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Shem Havaya, which makes up all of creation. So we have the first two letters and the last two letters. The last two letters, the Vav and the Hey, of the Tetragrammaton of Hashem's name, represent the revealed good, the revealed world rather, and where revealed goodness flows from into our lives. But there's a higher world, and it's called the hidden world. And that hidden world is vitalized by God's name of Yud-Kei, of the first two letters, and hence it is a higher world closer to God. And what comes from there is the misfortune that we have in our lives. Ultimately, everything that comes from God is obviously good. The question is it a revealed good? So it comes from the revealed world, which is a lower world, or the hidden good from the hidden world, which is a higher world. So Alter Rebbe says, as a result of this, happy is the man who is God chastises. And what does that mean? As the sages explain, that we rejoice in affliction. Why? Because we realize that is God who is showing his love to us in a higher manner. Just like I guess you would chastise your child rather than the neighbor's child. Why is that? Because it's your child and he's closer to you. There's a closer bond. Likewise, those who are closer to God, they will be, in this sense, chastised. And as a result, how will the individual accept it? So it depends. If your life life is about what you get from God, and material goodness and mundane things are what's important to you. So when you get from God things that are not in that manner, health and wealth and children and the like, the way you like it, so then of course you're going to be upset. But if your life is about your closeness to God, about your relationship to God, and it's not what God gives you that's more important than God himself, God is more important, therefore this will bring a sense of rejoicing from you, because you know that this is coming from God and his loving kindness, and his loving kindness is more dear to you than life itself. Very high level. But when we think about this, and remember this is what the Alter Rebbe wants to bring us to, Chabad, is that we use our minds to think this way, because this is the truth. That the hidden world, where these misfortunes come from, is a closer place to God. And when we recognize that, we become closer to God as a result, because it is coming from a place where he is more close to us. And when we understand that, this is the idea that the sun goes forth with its might, meaning that in those who are accepting the affliction in this world, when the sun in the world to come, when Mashiach comes, will now not be will not be covered by the sheath that's covering it, by the concealment of God, just like we here revealed God in the affliction and our relationship to him and how more dear that is. So likewise, when Mashiach will come, that will be revealed to us, and we will appreciate the true strength and power and the light, even though right now that light is hidden in the fact that it's in an affliction. And this is the concept. We will continue with it. Thank you for joining Tanya in 5.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam. My Rebbe so desires, I'm not busy or too tired. When I learn Rambam's connected, I remain, I am a link in the Rebbe's golden chain.
All right. Excuse me. Sefer HaMitzvahs, class number 6. We've started over.
Today we study positive mitzvahs 3, 4, and 9. Positive mitzvah number 3 is the mitzvah to love Hashem. This is accomplished by contemplating his commandments and his actions in this world, which lead to a love for him. Included in this mitzvah is also our obligation to call others to believe in Hashem and to serve him, because of course if you love someone, you want others to love him too. Positive mitzvah number 4 is the mitzvah to fear Hashem, accomplished in a similar way through contemplation. Positive mitzvah number 9 is the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem, sanctification of God's name. The Rambam defines this mitzvah as the obligation to make our belief in Hashem public, to the point that if a forceful tyrant stands up against us and wishes for us to deny in Hashem's existence, we must give ourselves up for death and not have him believe even for a moment that we denied our connection with him, even though in our hearts we continue to maintain it.
All right, Baruch Hashem, we are on day number 6 of our daily study of the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. As explained, we're not going straight through Sefer HaMitzvahs, because the way that we do it is we study the mitzvahs in Sefer HaMitzvahs which correspond to the subject matter being studied in the daily study of 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah. Now, in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we are currently still in Hilchos Yesodei Torah, the laws of the foundations of Torah, and specifically in chapters 4, 5, and 6. So corresponding to chapters 4, 5, and 6 of Hilchos Yesodei Torah, we have 3 mitzvahs in Sefer Mitzvahs to study today. The first of which is positive commandment number 3, the mitzvah to love Hashem. Like it says, V'yahavta es Hashem alakecha. You should love the Lord your God. Now, the classic question cited by the Rambam is the question of the Sifri: how can one be commanded to have an emotion? You can't just will yourself to experience an emotion of the heart. And the answer of the Sifri, cited by the Rambam, is that the commandment actually is not to have the emotion. The commandment is to engage in a process that you can will yourself to engage in that will result in the emotion. Okay, very well. What is that process that you can will yourself to engage in that will result in love? That process is meditation. And this is what the Sifri says. If you're if you're perplexed by the commandment, "V'yohavta es Hashem Elokecha," you should love the Lord your God. So just read the next verse after that. "V'hoyu hadvarim ha'ela asher aneichim mitzavecha hayom al levavecha." These words I command you today, you should have on your heart. What does it mean to have words on your heart? To have words on your heart means to focus your mind and to contemplate these ideas, and that will bring you to love. So the commandment to love Hashem is actually the commandment to meditate on matters that will bring you to feel love of Hashem. Also, another aspect of this mitzvah, which the Rambam mentions, is that if one loves Hashem, one has to tell others about the greatness of Hashem. Like Avram Avinu, the first champion of monotheism, he didn't just keep a good thing to himself. He went out and he told the world. So that's very important as well, that we go out and we tell others about Hashem. So that's the mitzvah of loving Hashem, positive commandment number 3. Positive commandment number 4. Well, it sort of goes hand in hand with the previous mitzvah of loving Hashem. It's the corresponding emotion, fearing Hashem. Fearing Hashem. And just like the Rambam said about loving Hashem, the mitzvah isn't the emotion. The mitzvah is to engage in the thought process of meditation, which results in the emotion. So too with fearing Hashem, the same exact thing. To think about matters that will bring you to fear of Hashem. Now, what's interesting is in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam really focuses on, when he says you should think about matters that will bring you to fear of Hashem, he basically says you should think about the punishments for, God forbid, transgressing God's will. That's actually a low level of fear called yiras oynish. There are loftier levels of fear where it's not about fear of anything bad happening to me. It's more about the awe that one feels when one contemplates the grandeur of God and feels overwhelmed. For that, you have to look in the Mishnah Torah, but you don't have to look any further than today's 3-chapter study of Mishnah Torah. So if you look in chapter 4 of Mishnah Torah, Halacha 12, he says over there, he's summing up the first 4 chapters of Mishnah Torah are what the Rambam says is called Maaseh Bereishis and Maaseh Merkava. Maaseh Merkava, Maaseh Bereishis, what are these ideas? These are basically the natural and the supernatural order of things. These are deep philosophical and theological ideas, as well as the physics and the metaphysics of God's creation. So he says at the end of sort of wrapping up that whole discussion, as mentioned, chapter 4, Halacha 12, that if you'll contemplate on these matters that we've just taught you. He says, "Bizman she'odem mizbeinen bidvarim ha'elu," when someone will think about these matters, meaning the content of the first 4 chapters of Mishnah Torah's Hilchos Yisrael Torah, it will bring you to awe of Hashem. So over there, he's not talking about fear of punishment. He's talking about an awe that one feels as a result of contemplating how great Hashem is, and as a consequence, feeling insignificant and overwhelmed, but not in a sense of fearing negative consequences, more just in a sense of being in awe of Hashem's grandeur. So it's always good to look in the Mishnah Torah. And just my conjecture here, but Mishnah Torah was written to be accessible to everyone, not just scholars. And really, I do encourage everybody to level up and attempt to study the Mishnah Torah. However, having said that, Sefer HaMitzvahs is probably even more accessible. And indeed, Mishnah Torah was written in Hebrew, and Sefer HaMitzvahs was written in Arabic to be accessible to people who don't know Hebrew. So it might be sort of accordingly that the level of awe of Hashem that the Rambam describes in Sefer HaMitzvahs is the most rudimentary, the most basic level, the lowest level. Whereas in Mishnah Torah, he gets into higher levels of awe of Hashem. Just a thought. Okay, the third mitzvah we have today is positive commandment number 9, and that is Kiddush Hashem. Now, we use the term Kiddush Hashem colloquially to mean making a good impression that makes people like Jews and Judaism and Torah and Hashem, which is a valid way of using the term. But the proper definition of the mitzvah the biblical commandment of Kiddush Hashem, of sanctifying God's name, means that if, God forbid, a Jew is threatened, and I say a Jew specifically because a non-Jew is not commanded to do this, a non-Jew is not commanded to give up his or her life in order to refuse to worship idolatry. The non-Jew should save his or her own life and live rather than to they should save their life and not reject the idolatry. But a Jew is commanded that if he is told or she is told to worship an idol, or we will kill you, the Jew should give up his or her life. Also interesting, if you look in today's Mishnah Torah, as I said, we're in Hilchos Yisro Torah 4, 5, and 6. So in chapter 5 of Hilchos Yisro Torah, specifically Halacha 3, he makes it clear that the requirement to give up one's life doesn't only have to be in a case where the threat was worship idols or we will kill you. If there is a situation where there is a systematic attack upon Judaism, what we call a time of gezerah, a time of organized decrees on behalf of the government or orchestrated by the government to bring Jewish people away from Judaism. So in such a case like that, which unfortunately existed throughout history, then a Jew would be obligated to give up his or her life for any mitzvah, not just to resist worshiping idols. And unfortunately, we have many, many cases throughout history where Jews did have to give up their lives. Certainly, it is more pleasant and it is more inspiring, I think, at least personally, to live for Hashem than to die for Hashem. Living for Hashem is something you can do every day for the rest of your life. Dying for Hashem is a one-off. You can only do it once. And this brings us back to the first mitzvah today, which is, if you love Hashem, go tell the world about Hashem. We can even do that with Mesiras Nefesh. We can make a Kiddush Hashem by going around, and even if it makes us uncomfortable, we can put our ego on the side and we could tell the world about the greatness of God. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. The job of all the souls, from Adam, the first man, until Mashiach, is to refine the sparks of godliness hidden in this physical world and to rectify the sin of the Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge. The souls born in the time of Mashiach will be of a higher order and called new souls. They will not need to struggle to uncover godliness. Rather, they will constantly elevate the world so that it will experience greater and greater levels of godliness. Hashem brought a small number of these new Mashiach souls into the world to help us prepare. Enoch, was a new soul. He exemplified personal refinement and purity. Moshe was a new soul. He showed us how to refine the world through the Torah and its laws. The Alter Rebbe was a new soul. He revealed the secrets of the Torah through which we will merit the actual redemption. Fascinating. I bet you didn't know all that. Well, now you do. All right. Let's hear from Shmuel Tzvi. Here we go.
Shalom guys, hope all is well. I wanted to just share that a new project on the Torah channel where we're doing something called the Goodness and Kindness Project, and this will be the first official episode, official video, where everyone should do a kind deed, an extra kind deed, more than one if they can, but at least one extra kind deed, and to share below that kind deed that they will do for another, for a person they do know, like a family member, or a person they don't know, something to help another, something kind that you're going out of yourself to do for another fellow. And this helps bring the redemption faster, and I'm very interested to hear your good deeds. God bless you all.
So let us greet him and come back home, finally home in the place where we belong. It's been so long that we've been gone, so lost and alone, scattered all across the globe.
Are you ready? Every prayer of the heart is answered. It's the packaging that doesn't always meet our taste. I like that. You want to talk about that more? Come to me on any of our social media channels at Blue Sky, Clubhouse, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube. You can email me at theactorsrabbi@gmail.com, and you can go to theactorsrabbi.com, where you can sign up for many of our services, including life coaching and our mailing list, where you will get our Shabbos with Elli newsletter. Oh yeah, look at that. That's next week's already, almost all ready to go. Mishpatim. breakfastwithelli.live/mail if you want to just sign up for the newsletter. Yep, it's there. It's waiting for you. All right, let's make an after bracha. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam boirei nefashos rabois v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai ha'olamim. All right. I don't know what happened to my song. All right. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids. There it is. I'll have to put that back in later on. All right, there you go. I am so glad we had this time together, even though I'm not legally allowed to use that. All right. There you go. Thank you for being here. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Reza Musavi, Wendy Cohen, David Wetman, and our 2 anonymous donors. If you would like to become a donor, just go to this wonderful donation page and scan this QR code, which will take you to breakfastwithelli.live/support. Or you can go to patreon.com/theactorsrabbi. or our virtual tip jar at breakfastwithelli.live/tip jar. There we go. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, there it is. There's the old one. Shmuley Unger and the Tenua Choir have a new video out for us called KOSHER Bracha. KOSHER Bracha is the wine that is used for Havdalah. When you spill out a little bit and give it to people, it's a cup of blessing. KOSHER Bracha. And as you know, many times when the Rebbe had a Shabbos for bringing that lasted into the night, Saturday night, he would make Daven Ma'ariv and then make Havdalah and give out KOSHER Bracha from the Rebbe's cup. You could get some wine. It was a big, big deal. All right. Go out and do something nice, something good for someone today. Tonight is the yahrzeit of the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, the Rebbe's wife. All right. Let me see if I can get that up here. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Yep. Chav Beis Shevat, the Rebbetzins yahrzeit. So that'll be tonight and tomorrow. We will talk about the Rebbetzin. Much to say about this amazing holy woman. So tune in tomorrow so we can tell you all about that. All right? That's not what I want. There we go. And that should go right here. All right, there we go, the Rebbetzin. Fantastic. Okay, have a great and glorious day. Be the reason someone smiles. In the words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow, Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow, Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow closer, Hashem will draw you close to him. Make it a great and glorious day, and KOSHER Bracha from me to you.
Maros azoy Minna yeshe yakudosh borechim voray khusan vekalu Minna yeshe yakudosh borechim voray khusan vekalu Minna yeshe yakudosh borechim voray khusan vekalu Shene marva vore khoysamoy samelokim bekoyshel brochu KOSHER Bracha lekovat khusan vekalo KOSHER Bracha KOSHER Bracha lekovat khusan vekalo KOSHER Bracha KOSHER Bracha lekovat khusan vekalo KOSHER Bracha KOSHER Bracha lekovat khusan vekalo Khusan vekalu Shemei marva vore khoysam oysam elokim bekoyshel brochu KOSHER Bracha
you.